Thank you.
As questions for Jennifer Bruner. Would you support having a system of paper trails with the electronic voting machines so that there are checks and balances to protect against potential computer hacking?
Go ahead.
Yes, go ahead.
The answer to that is yes. It's required in the law at this point, and interestingly enough, in the law it states that it has to be such that the voter can verify that that in fact is their vote recorded on the paper. And what's disconcerting about the current voter verified paper audit trail known as the VPAT is that our voting machine manufacturers are putting it on thermal paper. With the Diebold machines, it's actually something that has to be attached to the machine. So you've had thermal paper put in backwards, and then you've lost at least 10% of your voter verified paper audit trail. And when you get the response that, oh, we can just recreate that from the electronic records, that's not sufficient, and it doesn't comply with the law because we've lost the added safeguard of allowing the voter to check their ballot against how they know that they voted, and then to notify a poll worker if they see a difference or a discrepancy. So yes, it's essential, and especially for recounts.
And Mr. Hartman, would you take a minute to talk about paper trail?
Sure. The paper trail is the law of the land right now, and part of House Bill 3, one of the good parts of House Bill 3. Paper trail is important. It's important for voters to realize that they can look back to a piece of paper for how their vote is being recorded. I think that's vital to voter confidence, and I support it and will do all that I can as Secretary of State to make sure that's part of the way we vote in this state. It's critically important.
Next question, please.
Yes, this question is to both candidates. What exactly is the relationship between the centralized Secretary of State's office, the decentralized county election boards, and in your opinion, if you were elected, in your opinion, it may not have the power so to do, how would you like to see that change? Thank you.
Mr. Hartman, go first, please.
That needs to be changed in a number of ways. And first off, more of a cooperative relationship with county boards of elections. County boards of elections are the front line to elections in this state. And as Secretary of State, I am going to work more closely with those county boards of elections. When they want guidance and a directive, I'll be willing to issue a directive. I'm also going to be more engaged in their issues at the local level. I think it's very important that we have a hands-on Secretary of State who is actively engaged in the issues at the various counties in the state. I view the responsibility of the Secretary of State not for issuing orders from on high about elections to the counties, but working cooperatively with those counties, and that's going to be a priority of mine. The Secretary of State's office also needs to be a clearinghouse for which counties are doing, where are the best practices occurring in this state. And I'm going to share that information with other counties that might have the same machine and don't have access to those individuals. That sounds simple. It's not being done enough right now, and I'm going to do it as Secretary of State.
Ms. Bruner.
Thank you. One of the things the boards of elections had to deal with this year were mailing out cards to every registered voter in their county to notify them presumably about voter identification, but the statute was specific that they couldn't be forwarded. The difficulty with that was it was an unfunded mandate for the boards of elections. It was an extreme expense, and the Secretary of State could play a greater role as an advocate for the boards of elections. When I worked in the Secretary of State's office, there was no separate lobbyist for the Ohio Association of Election Officials. I was their legislative representative as well as for the Secretary of State. So the role of the Secretary of State is, again, to provide the guidance to serve as the chief election official, but also to understand that the boards of elections get their funding from county commissioners. So to be an advocate with the County Commissioners Association and with the state legislature so that the boards get what they need to do their jobs, whether it's directives from the Secretary of State or funding and support from their local entities. Thank you.
I think we're out of time for the questions from the audience. Sorry, Rob. Thank you, audience, for those questions. Now I will have a final question for each candidate with a time of 3 minutes for each. Candidates will answer this question in the reverse order. So Ms. Bruner will go first. The question is, both of you are new to statewide politics, and Ohio is a pretty large state. What single event or incident or person have you encountered in this race that illustrates most dramatically for you the needs of Ohio and why you are the best qualified to respond to those needs? Would you come up here?
Thank you. I think when I went to Meigs County in 2005, and 2 women cooked dinner for 100 people who attended the event, and they had an Appalachian Sonny and Cher duo that sang A Rep Named Ted, and it was about, every verse was about every year that Ted Strickland ran for office. And at the end of the meeting, they all stood up and they sang God Bless America, and they meant it. I said, we live in a great state. And I said, I don't care if nothing good happens from here until the end of the campaign. This campaign has been worth it because I have seen the greatness of the people of the state of Ohio. And as I've traveled the state, I've seen such diversity. I can go to Barberton, to the Slovene Center, where they're serving cabbage rolls and have an accordion band, and I can go to Oak Harbor, where they have a bluegrass band, and I can go to Columbus, where they have a big band, and I can come to Cleveland, which I think is now my second home. And I say, we have people in this state who haven't been served well by their leaders. Our leaders haven't done right by the people in the state of Ohio. And the greatest need we have is to restore trust to our government. And the thing that I can do as a member of this statewide Democratic ticket that's running this year is to convince the people of the state of Ohio that I will restore trust to their elections. That's why I'm running. That's why I want to do this job, and I will work day and night to make sure that I get this done, because I love my state. I love the people in this state, and we deserve better. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Hartman, would you describe, please, the single event, incident, or person that you encountered that illustrates for you the needs of Ohio and why you're the best qualified to answer those needs?
Thank you again, and thank you to the City Club for hosting this important forum about an incredibly important office for the future of Ohio. It's been quite a year and a half, and quite an odyssey running in this great state of Ohio. We've traveled to 88 counties, and it's been a great experience. I met a high school student probably 7 months ago in Auglaize County in western Ohio, and I think his name was John. I can't remember his last name. I've met a lot of people in this campaign, and my campaign got a little upset with me because I was talking to a 17-year-old. He can't even vote, but he has parents who can vote. And his question was, I talked about being the goal that I'm going to have as the next Secretary of State of Ohio, to get more people engaged, to get younger people involved in our process, and to give people a reason to participate in our process. And his question was, why should we be engaged? Because there's really no difference of any of the candidates, is there? And I think in Ohio, that's kind of a sad statement, but in some respects true. We have not had leadership in Columbus, and there has not been a lot of difference between the candidates. We need to elect people with a new perspective. I bring a new perspective to the Secretary of State's office. I've still been in the private sector longer than I've been in government. I've got private sector management experience that's translated well to running a large organization. I'm in this for the right reasons. I'm running to promote the right to vote in this state. I'm not happy with the level of participation in our system. I wouldn't be running if I didn't think that I could make a change in that. And I think being the next generation of leadership in this state, I'm going to be well equipped to do that. And I hope I've been clear in my comments today that that's a priority of mine. And John, that high school student, I think will be proud when I'm Secretary of State and I follow through on this commitment to get more Ohioans engaged in the process, because it's that important. Thank you very much.
Today at the City Club, we've been listening to a debate between Ms. Jennifer Bruner and Mr. Greg Hartman, candidates for Ohio Secretary of State. Thank you, candidates. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. This program is now adjourned.